Hey guys, Adam here with a very much anticipated and certainly long awaited unboxing and review of the Grid Engineering P911. A lot of hype in the Grid Engineering Discord over this, especially from a few Italians. You guys know who you are, but we still love you anyway. Full disclosure, I paid for this out of my own pocket. I did do the SimHub LED profile for this wheel. Brandon and Nick know that I am doing this review, but they have absolutely no say in what I say as part of this review. You'll also notice I've got some extra lighting around here this time, because when I did the review of the Ferrari FGT3 wheel from Grid Engineering and the two Rosso wheels that I did, I felt that it was a little dim, a little dark in here. So yeah, I've got some extra lighting going, and hopefully the autofocus won't be an issue because I've got it locked in manual focus this time for my camera that's back here in the corner. And so let's just go ahead and let's go to the proper camera. There we go. All right. So here it is. Nothing fancy, just a typical orange-ish brown cardboard box with a little sticker on the note there saying P911. I'm going to kind of cover up the UPS packing label. The last one I did, I unboxed upside down. Yeah, I didn't think that was so cool. So we're going to go ahead. I couldn't find my X-Acto knife, so I'm just using a tiny screwdriver. I do keep a selection of tools that I use for adjusting things on my rig. Right down here, right beneath my Go XLR Mini, I've always got a full selection of tools for adjusting my sim rig at the ready, because you never know. I did one race once where some of my bolts kind of came out of my wheel and caused a problem. All right. Ooh, it's a little snug in here with this box. This box is a little bigger than I had kind of anticipated, and I made some adjustments to my rig too to reposition how I sit and how everything is. So it's a little snug, but when we open it up, lots of bubble wrap. Bubble wrap is good. This wheel did come from Canada. Short trip across the border though to where I am at in Michigan, so it didn't have to go too far, but UPS didn't do any damage. So let's go ahead and let's just chuck the bubble wrap aside. Up on top, looks like we've got, I'm guessing this is our USB cable. And I love brown packing tape because brown packing tape just tears so cleanly. Yes. Oh, beautiful. So this is something I don't ever talk about. Personally, all of my wheels, after I get them from whatever manufacturer I acquire them from, I do this. I put Lumberg connections on both ends. For as much as USB-A is a great connection, it's not solid enough for me in a sim rig. I want to be locked in. I don't want any risk that that connection is ever going to come loose. So I know you can't see it right, but right down here, I'll pull it off maybe and show you guys for the next part of this review. But I have got a piece of carbon fiber that is bolted to my rig that has a Lumberg connection there. So this will come in handy. Now the Grid Engineering P911 does need its own additional power source. USB on its own is not enough. So we'll see where that is. More bubble wrap. Before I get to the wheel, let's see what we've got in here. A nice little white cardboard box. This looks like the power supply for the power injector. Nothing to show off there, but we need this. So we're going to set that aside on my mouse pad. What else is over here? All right, some more bubble wrap and brown packing tape. Where do I tear this one at? There we go. My kids do love the bubble wrap, so I will be handing this off to them. Oh, and this is a special bubble wrap bag. We have more bubble wrap here and more tape to tear and more bubble wrap here and more bubble wrap here. All right, so this is the, get this a little closer to the camera, the Grid Engineering 12-volt power injector for the P911 wheel. There's a USB-A here and the connector for the wheel cable here. This is absolutely amazing. This is machined. I'm going to go ahead and assume it's aluminum because it's too light to be any kind of steel. You've got your standard plug here for the power supply, USB-A back to the computer, and I love the big warning, only used with Grid Engineering approved wheels. I know that text isn't going to show up on this camera, but that is a very cool piece of kit. Even included the bolts and the T-nuts that I need to secure it to my rig. Thankfully, I already have some T-nuts in there because I use the SimCore mount, and I thought ahead months ago when I put the SimCore mount for my SimuCube direct drive wheel, and I put some extra T-nuts in there just in case I would ever need them for something like this, and that is absolutely perfect. All right. Let's get this out of the way. What else is in here? My phone is in my pocket. It's buzzing. All right. There we go. More Grid Engineering decals in this box. What else? Or this box, this bag. Lots of grid decals, lots of grid decals. All right. So let's get to some of the good stuff. Custom labels for the buttons. I do know from talking with Brandon that the button covers are sourced specifically for this wheel. I forget the exact count, but I was floored when Brandon told me how many different iterations of button covers they went through to ensure that the LEDs would shine at the proper brightness through the cover so you could see them properly illuminated and illuminating the buttons as well. Got kind of some of your typical buttons that you would want to see on a wheel in a race car as well as sim racing. So there's nothing too fancy to go through with these, but I will say the vinyl that these are printed on is really cool because it's a textured vinyl. It's not just your typical straight, non-fancy, smooth vinyl. USB-A cable that we will need to make sure that we have. Oh, what is that? I've seen two pieces of interesting goodies here. Let's look at this first one because I can't tell what this one is. We're going to open this up. Bedazzled machined button covers. Oh man, this is absolutely cool. Little Christmas ornament that I am going to hang on my sim racing tree. Brandon or Nick, I don't know which one of you guys did this, but this is cool. I need to go upstairs and hang this. These are new Christmas ornaments. These are my P911 stockings. That's what these are. Oh, this is awesome. I love this, guys. I don't know how my wife's going to feel about having these on the tree, but I'm going to go hide them. She's out of the house right now, and she won't know. And then when we put the Christmas decorations away, she's going to wonder, what in the hell was I thinking? All right, we got another package in here. Oh, I know what this is. This is not going to show up very well on the camera because I will have to zoom in, but this is the absolute classic logo from Porsche, right from Stuttgart. I don't know if this is the real deal. I've got a fair bit of experience in automotive. One of my first jobs ever was working at a collision shop, and I used to have to re-put the badges on cars. And looking at the back of this, this might be legit. If this is, I don't know how, let's see, the camera's not going to focus. But I don't know where you guys sourced this or how or what. But this is absolutely awesome. Thank you. I'm absolutely speechless right now. Thank you, guys. This is incredible. I'm going to put this back in the bag and get my ornaments wrapped back up for safekeeping and get those tucked away nicely before I do any damage to that. Absolutely super cool. I'm fighting a bit of a head cold right now, but I'm kind of speechless. All right, so I need this USB cable. We're gonna just put this over my 5-inch grid DDU. I don't need the stickers just yet. So we're going to set those down here with my collection of stickers. And all we have left is this giant bubble wrap. So what we're going to do is we're going to get this box off of my lap. I'm going to throw it down on the floor. More bubble wrap. In fact, let's get all of this bubble wrap out of the way. I don't know how much my mic is picking up the bubble wrap. All right, here we go. Uh-oh. Sorry, guys. OBS is giving me something interesting. There we go. Okay, so here we have it. Let's get into it. Oh, I can already feel the polyurethane grips, similar to the FGT3. They're not too stiff. They're not too soft. Let's get this off of here. Let's get this off of here. Let us slowly unravel the bubble wrap. Now, these ship all over the world. I know of 2 that are on their way to Italy as of filming. So all of this bubble wrap, if they haven't arrived in Italy and cleared customs by the time you guys see this video, trust that your wheel is very safely packaged. All right, there it is. Okay. All right. So how do I want to do this? Okay, I can see that the quick release is on the back. All right, here we go. Oh, so pretty. It's so beautiful. I absolutely love it. Button presses are absolutely solid. I'm going to go through all of the technical details of the buttons, the rotaries, the encoders, how to set all of this up in the second part of this review, because there's a lot going on in this wheel and I want to make sure I talk about it. But right now, I just want to get my initial impressions. The grips are absolutely stellar. I thought the grips on the FGT3 were good. This is better. Cosworth makes the wheel for Porsche for the 911 RSR. And if you look at the grips on the Cosworth, you can see that they have this cutout right here, this groove for the thumb, which my thumb easily slots in and wraps around. Lots of room over here. The detents on the rotaries, it's just strong enough. I can move them with my thumb, but it's stiff enough so that I know that I have moved all of these. Same with these up here. I can quickly, I have small hands. I wear a size small glove. I've mentioned that before, but I can quickly and easily reach and adjust all of these. So if I'm going to use these for TC1 and 2 and brake bias and ABS, they're all right there. I can even reach up with my index finger and get to them. Oh, it's just absolutely, it feels right. Oh, I want to get it on the rig. I want to start driving some laps. But all of the buttons are absolutely solid. The button surrounds feel like the same machined aluminum as the Christmas ornaments that were included in the package. So that is awesome. I love that there's no labels on the buttons right now themselves. So I can do that as needed. Let's check out the rotary encoders down below. Again, it's a really good feel. The detent is not as clicky as it is on the FGT3, but it's solid. Yeah, I like that. I'm going to be able to use these detents, or I could be able to feel this, I'm sure, even with gloves on, in the heat of a race. All right, quick flip over to the back. Then I'm going to get everything mounted up to the rig. I'm going to come back, and then we will talk about the tech specs of this wheel, because there's a lot to talk about here. The back of the wheel, machined aluminum, very smooth, clean finish, same as the FGT3. You've got your connector down here. The shifters are the same Grid Engineering shifters that were on the Ferrari wheel as well. There's a bolt right here that you can loosen, so you can actually adjust the amount of space between the grips and the shift lever themselves. You have 2 bolts on the paddle here that you can unscrew, just loosen them a little bit. You can slide the paddles in or out so that you get the paddles spaced exactly where you need, so you can hit them every single time. Now, my Ferrari did not have the clutches, so this is what I want to see. Oh, that's an interesting feel. Okay, so the left clutch you're looking at this kind of backwards, has a softer spring than the right clutch. Okay, that's actually pretty brilliant, because the one thing I never really kind of cared for so much was that the springs on my Asher or my GSI or any other dual clutch wheel that I had, they both felt exactly the same. I mean, it's a minor difference, it feels, but it looks like, boy, it looks like the same spring. So I wonder if there's a way to adjust the tension on these. I'm going to have to ask Brandon about that. But these do have an adjustment on here as well. Let me reach down. Where's my wrench? Where's my wrench? Does my wrench go small enough for this? No, it doesn't. All right, so I'm going to go have to find my other Allen keys and figure out, but it looks like this adjustment, let me try to get on the inside here and see what that adjusts. Looks like that probably adjusts the stop point at the end of the clutch, but I don't quite see. Oh, I see how. Okay, absolutely ingenious here. I love this. So right here, we've got 2 bolts. Let me see if I can get that so the camera can see it. There's 2 bolts and there's a little pin right there. It's that little silver amongst all of the black here that you see. That little pin goes all the way through this assembly right here, this housing, and there's an arm on the arm that the paddle bolts to that actually hits that pin and stops. So by, let me see if I can rotate this, undoing these 2 bolts right here and rotating it outward, you can actually move the paddle stop point up further this way, if that makes sense. I love doing these unboxing review videos where I know just as much about the wheel, or if not less, than most of the people who are probably going to ever actually watch this, which just makes it all the more fun. It's like a kid at Christmas. We do have the 50.8 to 70 millimeter standoff or spacer that is included. I'm looking at this. It looks like it is bolted on from the inside of the wheel body. That's going to be real hard to get on the camera with this lens. But this spacer is actually, it's very cool. It's nicely shaped. It's very well tapered, which leaves plenty of clearance for the shifters and the clutches. And I do know that Brandon went through a lot, Nick as well, in getting this hub designed. They went through a lot of rigorous engineering tests that I'm willing to bet no sim company goes through. Now, I've got some automotive engineering experience. I've worked with a number of them. I mean, I grew up in Detroit, so I know a number of automotive engineers, and I know what's involved with testing for automotive, particularly for race spec parts. And they took it to that level. I mean, it is absolutely insane what Brandon and Nick went through to ensure that this was a seriously quality wheel for their customers. Oh man, I can't wait. All right, so I'm going to shut the cameras off for a moment. I'm going to get the power injector hooked up. I'm going to get some USB cables run because I don't have enough of those on my rig already. We're going to walk through setting this up. I'm going to show you guys how to adjust the dual clutch bite point, how to set this. Has 3 different clutch modes. How about that? It's got a dual clutch, it's got a separate individual analog input, and it's got a switch function as well. So you could just use these as 2 switches if you wanted just quick brake bias adjustment or whatever it might be. Absolutely brilliant. And what's really cool is it's all done in the firmware inside the wheel itself. You don't need any additional third-party software. I'll walk you guys through it in a minute. I want to get everything hooked up. I might even start putting some stickers on. I don't know. I don't think I'll do the stickers just yet. But I want to make sure that the very first time I plug this in, you guys get to experience it with me, because I can't wait to see it, because that LED profile I worked on with Brandon was really cool. And man, I'm I'm at a loss for words right now. So I'm gonna take 5, and I'll be back. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me. Hey everyone, I am back, and thanks to the magic of editing, what took me a few minutes to get the power injector and have some dinner done was nothing. So before I go ahead and connect this cable in and go over the tech specs and the clutch settings on this wheel, I want to go ahead and just kind of make some people aware there is a known issue. And the reason I'm doing this is because when I first got my GSI Formula Pro Elite, I had this problem, and then we might run into this here with this wheel. I don't know where AMD, USB, Windows, the combination of the three just don't necessarily play well together. Now, what I have found to get around almost all of my USB issues on my AMD system is I am using a FebSmart FS7 Pro PCI Express USB card. This card does require SATA power, so it's along the lines of using a powered USB hub. We recommended that a lot for guys having issues with the GSI wheel. Just in case you do have any USB issues, any USB disconnects, I'll post a link to the PCI Express card that I use. It's generally not the preferred one, but AMD is weird sometimes, and I'm not using the preferred card, and I am not having any issues. I have not had any issues since I've started using this PCI Express card. So I'll link it below. It is not an affiliate link, so if you can find it cheaper elsewhere, please go ahead, save your money, get it from the cheaper place. You're not doing me any favors by buying it from Amazon. All right, so let's go ahead and let's move over to my cockpit cam. I've got SimHub loaded. I've got the Grid Engineering LED profile for the P911 already set. I've got the Arduino for these LEDs disabled in SimHub. Sometimes there might be some confusion, and for the initial plugging this in and powering everything up, I just don't want to have it look funky here on the camera, and then you guys are like, oh, it's crap. I just holding this wheel in my hands, I've got a feeling it's not. So let's go ahead and let's do the thing. Come on. Okay, I've got my Windows beeps. I've got the Grid logo on the USB-D 480 display, and if SimHub sees the Arduinos, there it is. Oh, look at that. Okay, so now these LEDs are probably looking, it's perfect. I love it. These LEDs are probably looking a little dimmer on the camera because I've got a light on the camera and I've got a light above my shoulder over here that are both pointing down at the wheel. But looking at it here in OBS, I can see the lights, which is good because that tells me that you can too. And that means that these lights are definitely bright enough. Now, I still have to put on the sticker sheets. Well, not sheets. I have to put the stickers on for each of these buttons. That's going to block some of the light. So I think that this is probably fair. These button caps are custom design. Brandon and Nick went through, I don't know how many iterations to get these the right opacity so that the LEDs can shine through properly. All right, so let me go ahead and let me pull up my cheat sheet here so I can run through some of the tech specs on the wheel. Where is my cheat sheet here? I apologize, I'm just waiting for my phone. It is, I got a long list of stuff here. I need to scroll through, my notes are long. Okay, so let's start with the basics. The wheel is 300 millimeters wide. For me, 300 is the perfect width. I love my Asher, that's 295. I've tried some narrower wheels and then they get a little cramped. I know a lot of the top sim racers like to use the narrower wheels, Asher kind of being key. But for me, this provides that perfect balance at 300. I love the 300 millimeter width. The display, as I mentioned, it's a USB-D 480. It's a 5-inch USB-D 480. It's the same one that is in my 5-inch Grid DDU here. That is also this is the first gen, so this has the USB-D 480. I'm a big fan of that. Vocore gives you higher resolution. Either way, but yeah, USB. The thumb encoders here on the side are Elma E33 encoders. This is top spec. They don't get much better than this. These things are rated to 1,000,000 cycles. And if you stood here and did one click every second for 1,000,000 seconds, come back to me in a few years when you can no longer feel that. I think it's like 11 years you'd have to be doing that for nonstop around the clock before these detents finally wore to the point where you just can't feel them anymore. So very cool stuff there. The buttons are 650 gram APEM backlit switches. I mean, it's a proper click. This is no joke here. I mean, I can tell when I've hit it. The button caps I've mentioned, completely custom, along with the PCB in here. Everything was done for this wheel. 80 LEDs complete in the wheel. You've got 4 LEDs at each button, 4 at each front rotary, and then 16 across the top. The front plate is true carbon fiber. It's not aluminum with a decal thrown over the top. It's 5 millimeters thick with polyurethane custom molded grips that just feel so comfortable. Oh, I love these things. This is amazing. The enclosure itself, the main case, is billet aluminum. I would expect nothing less from the guys at Grid. It's the same billet aluminum shifters that the FGT3 wheel has that I reviewed with the cool adjustability, and then the dual clutch. And that's what I really want to get into right now, is I want to talk about setting up the dual clutch. Now, I think I mentioned in the unboxing, you don't need a third-party software to adjust the dual clutch. It's all done in the firmware on the wheel itself. But in the manual, they recommend that for at least calibrating, you download Pointy's Joystick Test. It's a free software. I've used it for some home arcade cabinets that I've built to verify that buttons were working. It's a very lightweight software, so just go download it, test it. In fact, I'm going to go into Pointy's right now and show you how all of this works. All right, so here's the first thing you need to know. This lower left-hand button, this one that I have down here that looks a little orange on the screen, but I've got it set to red. To enter into the firmware mode, you want to hold that down. Now, you can set this button as a button input in your favorite sim, and as long as you just do a button input, you're not entering firmware mode. A single press doesn't get you there. You actually have to hold the button down. So the first thing you want to do to get your clutches into calibration mode, you want to calibrate them. Hold the left button down, hold the top right button down for 5 seconds. Now, if you're looking at the Pointy's window there, you will see after about 5 seconds, button number 1 will start to blink. This puts us into calibration mode for the clutches. So now all we have to do is move each of the clutches. Now currently I am in dual clutch mode, which is why you only see one of those bars moving. So if you want to exit calibration mode, we'll push that button there. Now there's 3 modes here. There is switch, dual analog, and dual clutch with adjustable bite point. To enter into the 3 modes, what you want to do is you want to hold down the firmware again, lower left hand button, 1, 2, 3, 4th from the top, press that over there. Now our clutches are in switched mode. So we can see here in Pointy's that they are buttons 15 and 16. Hopefully you can see those lighting up. They are no longer acting as an analog lever. They're acting as a switch. So if you wanted to map those to brake bias or whatever it might be, you just want to put it into switch mode, which is again this one and this one up here. If you want to go into dual analog mode, which is one of the coolest things I'm starting to see sim wheel builders do. GSI does this, Grid does this with this wheel. Hopefully more companies will follow suit. We're going to hold down the firmware button, and we're going to press the second one from the bottom. That is going to get us into the dual analog clutch mode. And what that means is we now have separate inputs, separate analog inputs. And this is really great for our disabled iRacing friends, sim racing friends, I should say. Not everybody's on iRacing, because now you no longer need a throttle and brake pedal. You can use one clutch lever for throttle, the other for brake, and this is an absolutely amazing feature to have. And I'm so glad to see that the guys from Grid Engineering and likewise GSI has put this into their wheels. It's very forward thinking of them, and I absolutely love it. But let's go back into the dual clutch mode with bite point adjustment. One last time, we're going to hold down that lower left firmware, and then we're going to press the lower right. And now we're back into dual clutch mode. So now to actually adjust the dual clutch, this is really cool. So the right side is your full 0 to 100. The left side is your bite point, same as it is on the Asher, same as it is on just about every wheel with a dual clutch. So what you want to do is you want to hold down the clutch lever on the left so you can see where your bite point is. You don't have to do this, but you can. Well, in fact, we'll do it without. So what we can do is we're going to hold down the firmware button, rotating this rotary, the furthest rotary on the right, will adjust the bite point in 5% increments. Rotating the one next to it will do it in 1% increments. Now you couldn't see it there in pointies because I wasn't holding down the clutch. We'll let go of the firmware button. We'll hold down the clutch. We'll press the firmware button again, and you can see that we're adjusting that clutch bite point in 5% increments. Now, unfortunately, pointies doesn't return a value there, but, oh shoot, I think I just froze pointies. There we go. That was weird. Let's switch it back to raw input for a moment, and let's give it a second. This app it's a free app, so it's not exactly perfect. Let's give it a moment to catch back up. Perhaps it could be my machine having issues too. Well, that's interesting. Okay, so apparently it's not going to work to give it the raw input values. Let's go back to, come on, pointies. This is the fun of doing a, come on, you can do it. You can do it. All right. Well, hopefully, though, Pointies is now acting weird, but because Pointy doesn't write anything back to the firmware on the wheel, you know, just by holding down that left, we can adjust in 1% increments with this one, 5% increments with this one. And that is awesome because you can adjust your clutch bite point on the fly. iRacing, my primary sim, does not model clutch wear, but if your sim does, and you do need to adjust your clutch bite point on the fly, boom, there you go. Middle of a 24-hour race, a 10-hour race, whatever it is you're doing, you can make those adjustments on the fly. And that is so cool. I absolutely love that. All right, so that should get us through all of the tech specs of the wheel. I'm gonna go get iRacing loaded up. I am going to be back in just a moment, and we are going to turn some laps in what is currently my favorite car in iRacing. We're going to go drive the Dallara P217, and we're going to drive it at Sebring, because that combination of that car and those bumps, that's going to put this wheel to the test. One of the things I found at the end of last season when ESS was racing there, I ran the P217, and every time going through the sunset, when I would make that left-hand turn, my right-hand turn, my left hand, as I was going through sunset, and the bumps would begin to slide up and over the top of the wheel almost every single lap. And so I had to have this death grip on the wheel to keep that from happening. So these grips definitely are a little softer, and therefore should give me a little more grip without having to just squeeze the life out of the grips as I drive through sunset. So let's go ahead and load up iRacing, calibrate the controls in iRacing, and then go for a few laps. All right, here we are. We are in the Dallara P217 at Sebring. I changed a couple of the LED colors on the wheel just for fun because I was in SimHub and I was adjusting A couple of things. I did play around with the brightness real quick on these LEDs. Brandon's recommendation was 10%. It's in that folder in SimHub that says change brightness to 10%. I put mine to 20%, and then I just was like very briefly trying to see where it went. I hit about 60%, and I just couldn't see anything but these LEDs. So start at Brandon's recommendation of 10% and then adjust from there. These things up here are crazy bright. I mean, like, yeah, like I could turn off all the lights in here, and with those things on, you'd still be able to see my face crystal clear from that camera. All right, so now I've got the Grid DDU running a Romain Rob's relative dash. Not that there's anybody else on the track but me. I've got my modified version of the Dallara P911 dash. So I've got 2 dashes going in SimHub. I've got 80 LEDs on this wheel. This is kind of a true test to see what SimHub can do, and also a test to see how well, it's just this, the way this wheel just like as you turn, it just feels right. I'm not even like 5 corners in, and I'm in love. Okay, these at 20%. Driving at Sebring at night is a little bright. Over the bumps, I can feel, I can feel the movement of the wheel. But I'm curious to see, well, that was interesting. I couldn't do that before with my GSI wheel. I can do that here. I downshifted into first in a corner that I don't take in first. And I was able to see that. 5-inch display is definitely a huge plus here. So anyway, as I was saying, with the Asher wheel, every time I would go through the big, fast, super bumpy right-hand bend known as Sunset, my left hand would like slip and come over the top of the wheel. I'd have a death grip on the wheel so that I wouldn't like lose control of it. And let's see how this does. These grips are nice. Like I've got 2 fingers underneath. And didn't move. We got 2 fingers under here. My thumb comfortably resting in here. Lots of bumps, and the wheel is not wanting to be like sliding through my hand. Now, I can honestly say that I was using these same gloves. These are the Moradness gloves with the super grippy palms with my Asher wheel. My Asher is the V2, so it does have the rubber grips. And I was not sticking as well to the wheel. The curb. Yeah, around all the bumps, this wheel just feels locked into my hand. Gifts are super crisp. I would expect nothing less after using the FGT3 wheel. I'm able to adjust the side rotaries that are near my thumbs while driving. which is nice. I can reach to the ones up here. I don't have them bound to anything yet in iRacing. As I go around through the bumps, yeah, the wheel is just not moving in my hand. Just kind of staying put. And that's what I like. That's what a wheel should do. I mean, that's like, you know, you've got the grips at the right material, the right consistency, the right everything. And of course, the gloves do help. Okay, this looks like a good lap. I want to finish this lap out. Too many downshifts. That's gonna kill it. Okay, 20% is definitely a bit much, especially when those blue LEDs kick on there at the end. It's not going to be a great lap. It's a 147.9. It is what it is. But the wheel feels good. I don't need to really drive any more laps around Sebring than I have right now. Let me kill the ignition so the engine doesn't overheat and blow on me. It feels right. I mean, hopefully I've covered everything here today. If there was something that you still want to know about this wheel, post in the comments below. I will link Grid Engineering's website down there in the description as well. From the website, check out the wheel, come join the Discord, say hi to Brandon and Nick. If you have any questions, those are the go-to guys. This is their wheel. I just am lucky enough to be able to race it. And I see, now I say this a lot, but this might be my wheel for a while. It's the perfect width. It's got everything I want in a wheel. It's got lots of adjustments, rotaries right here at the thumbs. These are up here. I can reach from the thumbs or just move my index finger. I can adjust them from there. There's a little ridge right here that is machined into each of these rotary caps that give my finger plenty of grip. So no need to worry about that there. I can feel it with gloves on, the detents on these rotaries. I can feel it's the button presses. I was making some adjustments with gloves on. Headlight flash. I mean, it's so cool. I don't know, man. I love this wheel. I absolutely love this wheel, and those LEDs are crazy bright. Brandon, you were right. I'm going back down 10%, maybe halfway, somewhere around 15%. But yeah, so I'm gonna figure out what stickers I'm gonna put on here. We get 3 sheets with the wheel to try to figure that one out. Lots to think about and what I'm going to map to where and how it all fits amongst all the cars that I drive in iRacing. But this wheel is absolutely wonderful. So if I had to give any recommendation, if you were on the edge and you were looking for that endgame style wheel for sim racing that kind of has everything that you would ever want, you're going to be hard-pressed to find a wheel better than this. In fact, the only thing... I mean, there's some wheels that are close. PCIe makes their LMX, I believe it is, which is their 911 RSR wheel. It's a little pricier. That's kind of an understatement. The PCIe wheel does have a funky switch right in the middle where this wheel does not. I go back and forth on the necessity of a funky switch for sim racing. There are people who absolutely must have it. I am more of the, yeah, I can do without it, especially on a wheel like this. Because, I mean, we've got 8 rotaries. We've got 12 buttons. And then you can possibly go 13, 14 buttons if you change your clutch mode to switch and not being analog in any way, shape, or form. So, I mean, there's plenty here. And then I've got my Stream Deck that I use for like setting my fuel settings in pit. And that might be what I use these two for up here. I mean, I got so much stuff. I can cycle through dashboards. I can cycle through both dashboards if I have dashboards running in SimHub with multiple pages. All of this that I can do right here from this wheel while keeping my focus down track where it belongs. So that's it. I'm going to stop rambling because I feel like I've done that enough in this review. This video was far longer than I ever intended it to be, but there is so much in this wheel that I wanted to make sure I covered. The guys at Grid Engineering have done a spectacular job with this wheel. I know the first run was just over 50 wheels and it's sold out. It's been sold out for a long time. So if you are interested in when you see that second run of this wheel get posted on their website, I highly recommend it. If you have the means, it is worth getting one. That's it. That's my final thought. Everybody stay safe out there, and I will talk to you guys next time.